Good morning. My name is Francis Fukuyama. I am a senior fellow at the Freeman Spogli Institute for International Studies at Stanford University and the director of Stanford's Center on Democracy, Development, and the Rule of Law. And I would like to welcome everybody to the program of the Leadership Academy for Development. Leadership Academy for Development is a case-based training program that we are going to be engaged in over the next 5 days here in Tbilisi. It is designed to help public officials in developing and transitional countries to master the process of policy reform for the sake of the development of the private sector. Without a healthy and vigorous private sector, there's no economic growth, and without economic growth, there really isn't development. And so how the public and the private sectors work together is really critical for the success of development as a whole. I would like to introduce the number of honored guests today and also the faculty that will be teaching this program. Let me begin with the faculty. So going from left to right, we have Professor Alan Traeger from the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. We have Mr. David Kramer, who is with the McCain Institute. We have Professor Georgi Kadagidze, who is currently as you know, the head of the Georgian Central Bank, but also a professor at Ilia State University. We have Catherine Stoner, who's also, like me, a senior fellow at the Center for Democracy, Development, and the Rule of Law. And finally, the rector of the university, Professor Giga Zedania. So I am going to spend more time explaining exactly how the week will unfold, but I would first like to ask a couple of our guests, beginning with the Honorable Ian Kelley, the U.S. Ambassador to Georgia, to say a few words of introduction. So, Ambassador Kelley, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fukuyama, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all here to this Leadership Academy on behalf of the United States government. Of course, this course will help prepare Georgia's leaders to design sound policies and strategic planning that bolster private sector growth and will help generate broad economic, political, and social development. As leaders in government, the private sector, and civil society, you are at the forefront of advocating for reforms that are necessary to ensure that your countries will benefit from Euro-Atlantic integration. And of course, that's our real interest in supporting this academy, to prepare you for that eventuality. From rooting out corruption to creating jobs to ensuring that schools adequately prepare young people for the 21st century, leadership, of course, is critical. But leadership from government or private sector alone, or even from the most active of civil society groups, is not sufficient to realize the changes that we all want to see. Much as a stool has 3 legs, successful reform requires a diverse cross-section of leaders from the government, business, and civil society to work together to identify challenges, to chart a strategic course for the future, and to carry out a sound plan. So the United States is pleased to partner with Georgia as you work to achieve Euro-Atlantic integration and bolster economic growth. We have a couple of programs that we have to help you achieve these goals from the U.S. Agency for International Development. One is called Access, which is our civil society program that helps to improve leadership and organizational capacity, as well as civil society's ability to monitor and influence government policies. Another co-sponsor is the Good Governance Initiative, which supports policy making and public sector reforms across the executive and legislative branches. This week, is yet another example of public-private partnership. This Leadership Academy event would not be possible without the participation of many people and organizations, including, of course, the private sector. And here we have two private American universities, Stanford University and Johns Hopkins University. And I'm also happy to see representatives of leading Georgian businesses here. Civil society, there's some important civil society leaders here, program participants, and of course our local partner is the Economic Policy Research Center. And then finally the public sector. Of course, this is Ilia State University, which is committed to support Georgia's future leaders and to transform the curriculum into a university policy leadership certification course. And of course, there's us, the US government, as well as distinguished leaders from the Georgian government here. So we are particularly pleased to support the successful partnership among the Economic Policy Research Center, Georgian universities, and world leaders in research and education. This partnership lays a solid foundation for the sustainability of Georgian civil society and academia in the global arena. I think this event is very much emblematic of Georgia's important regional role as a model of democratic and economic reforms, and as Georgia moves closer to the EU, makes the reforms necessary to join the Euro-Atlantic community, including NATO. I think Georgia is setting an example for the entire region. So with that brief backdrop, I want to wish you all luck during this week, and thank you for your participation, and thank you for inviting me here.
Next, I'd like to invite Professor Giga Zedania, the rector of Ilia State University, to say a few words, please.
Thank you very much. When I was thinking about Georgia, one of the general ways to characterize it is that it's a country to which people rarely come only once. It's like people tend to return to it, and I'm very glad that I see Stanford staff who have come here to Georgia a second or third time. Many thanks to Francis Fukuyama, who is actually an honorary doctor of our university since 2014, and we are looking forward to the lectures of David Kramer and Catherine Stoner this afternoon at our university. And the second thing I would like to say is that is one of the best topics one could have chosen at this point of time in this country, and I suppose in the region. The relationship between state and private sector, state economy, is really a defining one. One could say that during the last 25 years we have been governed by two major goals and ideas. The first was the transition from authoritarianism to democracy, and we have learned that this transition is far from being straightforward and direct line, but it's the process in which one falters, slides back, even gets stuck or gets lost, and we have come to appreciate the subtleties and complexities of this process. But the second one, the transition from planned economy to market economy, seemed to be a simpler thing, and then it was obvious there were two symbols: God's plan on the beginning and at the end the invisible hand, so to say. And now we are seeing that we have just perhaps missed very important parts of the knowledge and debates concerning this changed economy. For example, if there is a discussion about developmental state in this country and in this region, it's always connected with, let's say, Southeast Asia, and then there is a talk about whether you can replicate this cultural and civilizationally different experience and model or not. And not very many people actually follow this model back to its sources and see that it's a very traditional 19th century Prussian continental model of development, of state-driven development. And I'm not saying this is a good model and there is a bad model, or even I'm not saying that it's a bad description or good description of realities. I'm saying that this is an important part of knowledge about economy and politics. Decision makers, top managers or top public servants should be aware of, and perhaps this will be the step in the direction of having a national conversation about what kind of economy we want and what the role of the state in this economy should be. With this hope in mind, I would like to wish you a successful week, and thank you for all the organizers and the participants for your commitment to it. Thank you.